Hey, Daniil Lanier here, and I've got the Worx GT 40 volt edger trimmer, and I've had it for 2 years now, and I want to answer a lot of the questions that people have had for me on the YouTube channel. So here we go. Let's get into it. So a couple of questions that people have had. One is, how do you put down the debris guard? And putting it down with your foot is the best way to go. You're just gonna step on it. Trust me, it is not gonna have a problem. You know, looking at my edger trimmer over the last 2 years, the only thing that's wrong with it, you know, I've got some scratches and scrapes, and that's mainly from me and, you know, putting it down on the driveway and things like that. But the things that I thought were gonna wear is one of these. This particular movement, I thought doing that from time to time every day for the last 2 years, I thought it would be flimsy by now and it wouldn't be able to lock in place. Has not been an issue. It has been great, and that's how you're gonna do it. You're just gonna, what you're gonna do, you're just gonna step on it, just use your foot. Trust me, I've been doing this for 2 years. I haven't broken it. It works great. Just put your foot right on it to get the angle that you want, and when you want to go back the other way, you can put your foot on top of the trimmer and adjust it the other way. Sometimes when I'm getting it back to go into edgy mode, I just use my hand to snap it in place, but either method works. I'm going to pull it with my hand to go ahead and get it into edgy mode. So I'm going to pull it over. I'm going to leave it right there for a reason, but I'm going to pull it over with my hand to get it into edgy mode. But I haven't had any issues with that. I thought that was going to go. I thought the handle, I thought I wasn't going to be able, that was going to get flimsy and that wasn't going to lock in place. But I haven't had any of those issues where it has been a solid tool for the whole 2 years. Haven't had any real problems, but I do have some answers for you guys, some of the questions. All right, so that's the edge guard. Just step on it, get it in place, or use your hand to pull it back in place when you're going back to edging. Now, I left it like this for a reason. The other question that people have for me is getting it into trimming and edging mode. And to do that, you're basically just going to use the diagram here and just spin it in place. And what you want to do is make sure you are spinning it all the way one way or the other, depending on what you're doing. Because then when you lock it in place, you want to make sure it's straight. Same thing for when you are going ahead and trimming. You want to spin it all the way, make sure it's there, lock it in place. Now, I left it here on a reason, because one of the things that I have found, and again, this is just user, is sometimes I don't pull it all the way tight. So if you look, I still got a little bit of an angle there. So if I go into edging mode now, I'm going to be off on my edge just a little bit. And I left it like that because every once in a while, you know, I'm out here, it's hot, burning up, I just go ahead and snap it and I don't pay attention. But you want to make sure that you are fully in line and in a 90 degree when you want to go into edging mode. So you can get a straight edge when you're going to straighting. So just make sure you lock it all the way down perfectly when you're doing that. Like I said, sometimes I'll leave it off a little bit. As soon as I start, I notice it and then I fix it. But that's just something that I've noticed. And making sure that you fully commit when you're rotating. Just fully turn all the way. All right, so guys, fully commit. Get that in there, lock that in all the way, and you're good to go there, all right? Now, the other question that I've had is battery life. How long does the battery last on this 40 volt? And it really depends on your usage and your yard. I've got an average size suburb yard, so it takes me about 10 to 15 minutes to do the edging and trimming. I do edging on my sidewalks, edging on the driveway, go around the house, get the weeds around the house, and do the backyard. I do the fence line perimeter, so it takes me about 10 or 15 minutes. But I don't have to charge maybe every 3 to 4 weeks, so about a month that I'm charging this guy up. So I'm cutting the grass every week and I'm getting that out. And sometimes in the, you know, in the fall and the winter, it may be even longer because I don't have to cut the grass every week when it's not growing like the summertime. Like, so in the summer, I'm cutting it all the time, and I'm definitely cutting it every week. So a little longer on that. So that's the battery life. So it really is going to be dependent on you and where you are as far as your usage on the battery, and how big your yard is going to be dependent on that. The other thing that people have questions is the command line feed. So first of all, I'm sure just like many of you, it took you a minute to get used to not hitting the command line feed when you wanted to use the power. because you would accidentally hit the command line feed, which is pretty normal because it's in a spot that you would think that that's the power. But that's actually to give you that command line feed, to give you the line coming out of there. So had to get used to that. And it also, remember, it's going to stop the motor when you hit the command line feed. It actually stops the motor, because what it's doing, it's engaging the mechanism, the gear mechanism, to move the trimmer line forward. So it temporarily stops the motor to engage those gears, move the line out, and then the motor will go again. So you will notice that when you go to engage the command line feed, it stops the motor when it happens. That's normal. That's not an issue. Don't worry about that. From the command line feed, let's talk about the trimmer line. So the trimmer line, I've got questions too. Sometimes it gets jammed, sometimes it's not coming out. And what I found is sometimes the trimmer line will kind of get stuck to itself. Could be something on packaging, could be the weather or heat or something like that, but it will get stuck on itself and it won't actually advance. Easy thing to do is pop it open. You're gonna unwind it, and you actually feel it when it's stuck together. You just unwind it, wind it back together, put it back in. Shouldn't have an issue. The other thing is, make sure when you put it back in, the gears, so those gears that are on your spool here, make sure you've got that lined up with the two triangles inside here. Once you put that on, you're going to want to kind of turn it to kind of engage it. You'll feel it kind of lock in and engage. Then you know you're set, ready to go, so it'll advance properly. So again, you may get the line stuck on itself. Sometimes that happens. You just got to unwind it, put it back in. And the other thing, it may not be fully engaged. The gear may not be fully engaged in there. So you want to make sure you line it up, put it in, lock it in place, and you'll feel it lock in place and engage. And then your line's going to be just as long as a razor blade here. Some people had some questions regarding that. So it's going to be right where your razor blade, where your razor blade is coming out right here. That's where how far your line's going to extend out right here. So kind of a little bit past the wheel base. That's where it's going to come out. So again, how long does the line last? Well, I put dates on mine so I can kind of track how long. So in the summer, maybe right around a month. In the winter months, I could go a few months without changing the line. So just depends on where I am, but I'll write the dates on there so I can actually see how long it's taking me to go through a spool and line. So something you may want to try. Works good for me to keep track on how much I'm using. The other thing that people have questions about is the wheel. So the wheel itself, how to put the wheel on, should I keep the wheel on, that kind of thing. You can't take the wheel off. The wheel does have a little locking mechanism on it right here on the bottom. It's got a little locking mechanism, so I can just click that and just slide the wheel off. Easier. So I can just slide the wheel off there. And I guess you don't have to keep the wheel on if that's not something you want to use, but that's where the wheel goes. And one thing I have had to do is, at times I've had to tighten up this plate at the wheel. So if you find that your wheel is wobbly, it feels like maybe it's broken, it's probably not broken, it's just this plate is loose. Just take the wheel off and screw that down and lock that back down real tight, and then you'll get it on there, it'll be fine. I've also had to tighten up the collar that turns it. I've had to tighten that up. So probably only two things that I've had to tighten in the 2 years that I've had it, and maybe the wheel maybe twice, and only the locking ring once that I've had to tighten that up. And putting the wheel back on, it's real simple. You're gonna keep the trimmer pointing down like you were in trimming mode, and you'll see these little, it has a little notch on the trimmer itself, and then there's a little cutout on the wheels. You're just gonna slide that straight down on, you know, using that notch as your guide. And just lock that right down, and once it's on there, it'll lock in place. So it's locked in place once you get it on there, and then you gotta use that little tab to pull it off. It's locked on now, and you can see where the notch, the cutout, where you put that on. So you just slide it straight down, and you're good to go. So that's pretty much it. That's all the questions I've had over the last 2 years regarding the edger and trimmer. It works great. 2 years that I've had it, haven't had any issues. It's fantastic. Love it, use it every week, so it's a great tool. So listen, I know you got stuff to do, so if you have questions about anything around the house, things that you want me to check out, or some questions that you may have, I've got a cool place for you guys to go to now. It's called You Got Stuff to Do. So you can check me out on Twitter and Instagram. The website's coming soon, so You Got Stuff to Do on Twitter and Instagram. You can send me pictures, ask me questions on there. Check it out. I'll be putting more videos on my YouTube channel, so please subscribe to the YouTube channel. Keep that going. Thanks for all your questions. Thanks for all the support. I appreciate it. I know you guys got stuff to do. I do too, so I'm about to go get to it. You guys get to it too. This is Daniil Lanier with the Worx GT 40 volt trimmer. After 2 years, working great. I'm out. Go get it.